Cities have life cycles. Historically, city-state empires rise and fall. So, from that long-term historic perspective, can you speak to us about how we can think about that with today's American cities?
Yeah, I don't want to be overly apocalyptic about this, but people forget that Rome went from a city of 1 million people in the ancient world, but by the time the Dark Ages arrived, starting in about the year 600, there were cows and sheep and hogs that were wandering through the forum, and they were disassembling the ancient buildings for building materials for huts and this type of thing. This is nothing new in history. Anything can happen to a city or a civilization. So the trend, and I tend to be a trend follower from this point of view, long-term trends actually, not just 2 or 3 or 5 years, but 50 or 100 years, or if you wish, 500 years. I think the trend that we're experiencing right now has taken a downturn. The culture in the country is changing right before our very eyes. It's gone from a culture of hard work, personal responsibility, values that used to be considered traditional to something very different.
Now, we can think of the rise and fall of famous city-states, including Rome, like you mentioned, and Babylon. I know you have some notes about Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Of course, the Haitian economy is very different than the United States economy, but it's pretty close geographically to the United States. So as the international man, can you tell us more about what you've seen about the rise and fall in Port-au-Prince?
Well, I'm pretty familiar with Haiti. I've been down there numerous times, starting in about the year 1970, long time ago. And in those days, Haiti itself was always a poor country, but it was a very safe country, and it was delightful. Restaurants, cheap, entertainment was great. Of course, at that time, it was a dictatorship under Papa Doc Duvalier, and it was a bit of a police state. It was great for tourists because if anything happened to a tourist, they'd find out who did it, and the person would be very sorry about it. Well, he wouldn't last long enough to be sorry. But now, I'm not a believer in these reports from the State Department, which say, don't go there, it's dangerous. They're mostly hysterical, and they overrate the danger. But in Haiti, in Port-au-Prince, it actually is a really, really dangerous place where the hotels don't work. They're mostly closed down. The restaurants are all closed. Gangs, which are vicious, rule the city. A tourist can't go there or shouldn't go there without a bodyguard or two, an armed bodyguard. So things can change. What's going to make Haiti get better? Well, I can think of the things that could be done. Perhaps what Bukele has done in El Salvador would have been, after Haiti, I would say the worst country in the Western Hemisphere. But with the election of Nayib Bukele, he actually locked up 65,000 criminals in jails. Amazing that he was able to do that there. But the place is experiencing renaissance now. That's radical executive action. But when a place is really at the edge of total chaos, perhaps that type of thing is necessary.
Yeah, when it comes to Haiti, I have only been on the other side of Hispaniola there in the Dominican Republic, but okay, at one time Haiti had poverty but safety, and now they have poverty but unrest. And, should one necessarily correlate prosperity with safety or prosperity with a place that's peaceful? Because I think internationally, most people think of the United States as prosperous, but I don't know how places square that up with the civil unrest in the United States. Should there be much of a correlation between prosperity and peace?
Yeah, there should be, because in a truly free market society where you're not overly burdened by taxes and regulations, the average guy can plan ahead, he can save for his future, he can grow in wealth. And in order to do that, everybody understands, we need a certain measure of stability in society. So a prosperous society tends to be a safe society. And it used to be that way in Haiti. In fact, in all of these countries in the world where the government destroys the currency, you can't plan for the future. You can't build for the future, because let's say that you produce more than you consume and you set aside the difference. How are you going to do that? In almost any country in the world, you have to save the national currency, whether it's the Haitian gourd or the Argentine peso. But if you save the currency and it loses value at 50 or 100% per year, you have nothing. You're living hand to mouth. And typically in these places, the banks can't be trusted. In addition to the currency can't be trusted. Naturally, you think, how else can I earn a living to feed my family? Maybe you have to steal that loaf of bread. So prosperity goes hand in hand with safety. Now, in the United States, it's a little bit different today because a lot of our prosperity has been financed by debt. And what is debt all about? Well, it means when you borrow money for consumption. I mean, it's one thing to borrow money. Let's say you're a farmer and you go to the bank and borrow money so you can buy seeds and fertilizer to put in your crop. It's a self-liquidating debt. The crop comes in, you pay off the debt, you have a profit, all's well that ends well. But most of the debt that we have today in America is consumption debt. It's not for new production. And where does that capital come from? It comes from either past money, past capital that was earned by past generations. So you're either liquidating the capital, which has been built up over many, many years in the past, and or you're mortgaging your future, turning yourself into a serf. So a lot of the prosperity, I think, that we've had here in the U.S., some of it's very real with increases in technology, very good, and people setting aside, producing more than they consume and setting aside the difference. Inflation hasn't been that bad to destroy it. But I think in a lot of ways, we're eating the seed corn at this point here in the U.S. and have been for some years.
You can watch this one next.